say a couple of things about the news which I presume that you have heard about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump that happened yesterday. I want to say two things based on our beloved Gospel of Mark. One is that Jesus was a man of peace and calls us to peace. That when Jesus came to the world as the ruler of the world, God incarnate, he invited people to know him on their terms. So he invited them to the peace of his presence. He said, don't tell other people who I am. Let them make their own decision. Let them encounter who I am. We too often make decisions about the leaders that are guiding us based on what other people hear. And this is where it leads us, to a collective hatred. Jesus invites us to a collective love. And the way we get there is through the encounter of Jesus, the encounter of love. Hate has no place among Christians, ever, ever. The second thing I want to remind you of is that Jesus, when he was on his way to death, somebody took a sword and cut the ear of a soldier. And what did he do? He didn't say, good job. He reached down and grabbed that ear and put it back on, because hate has no place and violence has no place among us. And when we who call ourselves Christians stop endorsing it, we will see national change. So may we stand for that and embody it and invite people to this love. James has a third point, and he's going to offer it to us now.
All right. Good morning, everybody. If you don't already know me, I'm James Ammon. I'm a member here at St. Paul's. I'm also a junior warden here on the vestry in non-Episcopal terms. That means I work with our executive director, Darian, to take care of our buildings and grounds here at St. Paul's. And no one complained enough about my first sermon, so I'm back. So have you ever thought that something was so true to find out later that it wasn't? Something that was like commonly understood to be true, like fortune cookies are Chinese, when they're historically traceable to Japan and America. Or that Vikings called themselves Vikings and ran around with horns on their helmets. There's actually no historical evidence of them fixing horns to their helmets. And the Vikings referred to themselves as Ostmen, like northern men. And the word in Viking actually meant to go Viking, which was like to raid and pillage and bebag the people. So, and in the time of Jesus, the common understanding was that there would be a Messiah who would come in like militaristic, physical power to liberate the Jewish people. They were looking for a Messiah to come in and forcefully overthrow the Roman power structure of the day. They expected their definition of the Messiah to come and restore their political and social power structures to what they had been before they had been subjugated by the Romans. But the only power that Jesus came to display was the power of love. A sacrificial love whose power is in serving others, our God offering themselves as a sacrifice for us and their son Jesus, showing us how our power structures are upside down from what God had intended for us. And I'll read some of the verse again here. And James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came forward to him and said, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." which for any parent is like the first sign of trouble. You know, I don't think so. And they said to him, grant us to sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your glory. But Jesus said to them, you do not know what you're asking. Are you able to drink from the cup that I drink, or to be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? And I'm sure there was even almost, again, like a sorrow that a parent would experience as they see their child ask for something that they know is not what they think they're going to get. Something that's going to be tough and painful and hard. And then they said, yeah, we're able. And Jesus said to them, the cup that I drink, you will drink, and the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or my left hand is not mine to grant, but it is for those from whom it has been prepared. So, when a passage is repeated more than once in the gospel, it tends to grab my attention because it gives weight to the passage. Because it's an impact, it shares an impact where it's been recorded by multiple times. So that kind of says something that you should focus on. When the passage is repeated in Matthew 20 through 28, the only exception is that James and John's mother asked Jesus for them. So how about that? Having your mom come up to Jesus and ask if you and your brother can be at his right hand and his left hand. I'm sure that wasn't awkward at all. And while they had it right that Jesus was the Messiah, he wasn't going to be the Messiah that they were expecting. Finish the verse now. And Jesus called to them and said to them, you know that those who are supposed to rule over the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great men exercise authority over them. But it shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must first be a servant. And whoever would be first among you must be a slave of all. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. One of the things I really love about Jesus is how he completely tosses out our human power structures. Jesus came in and flipped the tables on our human ideas of power like he flipped the money changers' tables. We can see that in the two examples from the passage today. First, we can see it in how the brothers, James and John, sought to become Jesus' right and left-hand men. They wanted to be part of this revolution that was going to come, where Jesus was just going to come in glory and cast the Romans out and pull them back into power. That wasn't the way, though. Jesus even tells them that he has to respect the power of God from who God had fixed those positions for, who God had brought those positions for, his right and left hand. Then he gives an example that serving others rather than seeking to be served by others. And all of this completely flips the tables on our human power structures, and it puts all the importance on serving out of love rather than seeking the power of wealth, fame, or controlling others. In healthy power structures, we see people at all levels being valued and having equal opportunities to grow and thrive. We would also see people being more important than prophets, and we would provide health care for all of us. We would care for those in need or who can't take care of themselves. In unhealthy power structures, we see the power coming from the top down, and people are not empowered ever. Those with the power will hold on to it at all costs. And adding into it with the events from yesterday, we see once again where trying to take power into our own hands to change our political views and force them on others, no matter how right they may feel, is not what we've been called to do at any point as Christians. From my view as a member here and a vestry member, this church does a really good job of serving others, serving each other, and our community. I regularly see great examples of service in our little community, and it makes me proud to be a part of it. When you're out and about in the community, look for ways to flip that power structure, those norms, instead of looking for ways to, when you notice others seeking to put themselves above others, are keeping that old standard. Look for ways that you can support flipping it, and the candidates you support and the businesses you support to buy from and how you treat others. I also encourage each of us to not be have our view of what our expectation is, and we hold on to it so hard that we miss what God actually has for us. Because we look and we see that that the Jews at the time they expected this physical, overt power to come. And Jesus didn't choose to ride into Jerusalem on a war horse. He rode in on a donkey in peace. And that's what we should do as well. Amen.
Amen.